What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Anthem, a brand new game coming to us this week, technically from BioWare and Electronic Arts, that has had relatively good reception, if kind of leaning more towards the lukewarm side of things. A lot of people, including myself, expected Anthem to be somewhat of a runaway success upon launch, but when it did launch, the reception was relatively mixed. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people don't really feel any kind of way particularly about it, but overall, the game is out there, but the launch was a little bit rocky, and that's kind of what I want to focus on here today. When it comes to releasing a game, in my opinion, it is incredibly important to nail it on launch day. Not necessarily to have a perfect game on launch day, but to nail the launch itself. In a sense, to stick the landing, as they do say. So if you have an indie game, if you have a Call of Duty, the launch day is incredibly important for the life of your game going forward, because if it does have a strong launch, more people are going to be seeing that covered in the media, and more people are going to be playing the game in the long run. Now, when it comes to Anthem, the entire release date has pretty much been spread out over the course of a week between February 15th and February 22nd. Now, during that specific period of time, there was no day one patch because day one hadn't officially come until February 22nd. And so during this period of time in which everybody is paying attention to Anthem, there were some issues that were brought to light that were then addressed in the day one patch on February the 22nd. But by then, everybody had already developed their own first impressions. To break down the horrible planning of the launch of Anthem, let's take a look at this chart that they released via social media platforms about a week prior to launch or so. Now, if you pre-ordered or you had any kind of subscription service, you did get access to the demo that happened on February 1st. However, if you are an Origin Access Premier subscriber, you got access to the game on February the 15th, which is 1 week before everybody else did in the general public. But there was also a catch. If you did have an Xbox One or a PC, and you are a subscriber of EA Access or Origin Access Basic, then you got a Play First trial, which was about 10 hours of game time for access to the full game. So technically, you could say the game launched on February the 15th, but some people only got to play for about 10 hours and some got access to the full game, depending on what subscription service you had. Then, about a week later, you had the official launch date, where people that pre-ordered the Standard and Legion of Dawn editions got to play, and on top of that, those that had Origin Access Premier also got access to the full game, but again, they had access on February 15th. So the entire situation here is incredibly confusing. All of this is to say that the release date of a game is incredibly important because of the public perception that is then created through that launch date. And to spread that launch over the course of a week just increases the chance of you missing the mark whenever you actually try to make a positive impression on your player base. That is not to say that Anthem is in a position to fail going forward. In fact, it very well could recover. As we saw with Destiny 2, changes and new content can vastly improve the overall perception of a game within its community. And on top of that, Anthem is in a fantastic place because all of its content that's coming out in the future is going to be free, meaning you don't have these unnecessary paywalls as we saw with Destiny 2, meaning that more and more people are going to continue to not only jump into Anthem, but also return to Anthem over the course of the next few months and even potentially years. So what have we learned here today? The release date and launch of a game is incredibly important for one thing, because it kind of kicks off and sets the tone for the game going into the rest of its life. Number two, Anthem kind of messed that up by spreading the entire launch out over the course of a week, and also based on what subscription you had. And number three, just because a game has a rough launch doesn't necessarily mean that the game itself is going to be dead or dying going forward. In fact, they very well could succeed in the long run. But that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. How do you feel about Anthem? Are you enjoying the game? And on top of that, if you happen to be brand new to the channel, there is new content throughout the week, Monday through Friday, for a podcast, and on top of that, videos on the weekends. So be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest stuff coming out here on youtube.com/SamuelAdamsMedia. But until next time, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.